Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bad versus Evil, the rule of not two. So, this is the rule of not two. This is the first episode. Thank you for joining us. I am here with Rhodes Rants on Star Wars. How you doing, Rhodes?
I'm back. Rhodes Rants on John Matrix channel. How's everybody doing?
We are doing very well over here. So please start smashing the like button. Drop some comments. And we will get this show on the road.
Smash it to death.
And we already have Economy's Cantina in here. Yo. What's going on, folks? News is dropping like crazy. And we were actually going to start off this show. Me and Rhodes have been talking about this show for a while now. And it finally happens. And about 45 minutes before we go live on the first show, we start having breaking news that Star Wars Theories Vader fan film is not copyrighted anymore. I mean, that's just shocking, you know, and the timing couldn't be any worse because we already had the title planned out, and then I had to change it. But that's the way this business works. It really is. So we're going to really talk about that, and we're going to talk about some other things also. But Rhodes, let me know your initial thoughts on Star Wars Theory winning the copyright claim. What are your thoughts on Lucasfilm doing the right thing?
My initial thought is evidently somebody, and I've been saying this for a while, but somebody has got their ear to social media right now. And there was some rumors a while back where they were talking about J.J. Abrams sort of keeping an eye on YouTube and other places like that. And he was sort of, when he started doing rewrites on episode 9, some of it had to do with like a lot of the feedback that they were getting and he was getting. And I think we just found out that as hard as it is for us to believe, I guess Lucasfilm hurt us, you know?
Yeah.
Which is, you know, I mean, here's my deal. I've said when they do something.
Did we lose your Rhodes? I think we may have lost Rhodes Rants. I don't hear him. Does anybody else hear him? I think we may have lost him. We're going to try to get him back. Let me see what's going on. I don't know if he has an internet problem or not. But just to keep everything rolling here, I was absolutely shocked. Really, really shocked that Lucasfilm stepped up. Now, Star Wars Theory did say it was Lucasfilm that actually removed the copyright claim. So why not Disney? I mean, did Disney just... I'm not sure. Did Lucasfilm just pressure Disney to you know, say, hey, this is not going to happen? Why did it take them a full day? Maybe they had to run everything through channels on that. Not real sure. I'm not real sure. So it is interesting that now they would actually do this at this time. And it looks like I'm going to have to send Rhodes another invite here. So I sent him another invitation to get back on. So sorry, folks, just a little technical difficulties, and looks like he is back now.
Yeah, I don't have any idea what just happened.
No. But I was going on.
Where did you lose me at?
We lost you about a minute ago. And okay. I started going on to my commentary that I was absolutely shocked that Lucasfilm actually stepped up to do the right thing. So were they pressuring Disney? And how does Warner Chappell kind of play in all this? Because we know that Warner Chappell, Lucasfilm, they're all subsidiaries of Disney. So I'm pretty sure that the backlash got out there and Disney like really, really freaked out. Well, Lucasfilm really freaked out and probably pressured Disney.
He had said that evidently Lucasfilm went to Warner's Chapel and said, no, we had a deal with this guy and you stepped in and altered the deal. And then they said, you've got to veto that, remove the claim. That's what he said. I don't know behind the scenes exactly what happened, but evidently Warner's Chapel may have done the claim without Lucasfilm even knowing it, but I don't know that. That's just speculation.
Well, it was a manual claim. So it was an actual person that went in and looked for it, because if it's a manual claim, you're not just sitting around. Well, I guess you are just sitting around looking for copyright stuff. Now, what was actually copyrighted was like 2 or 3 seconds of what sounded like the Imperial March.
Right.
So, I mean, that's extremely petty. I don't really even remember the Imperial March playing on there. But here's my thing. You remember when Star Wars Theory actually put out his trailers? He was playing a rendition of Across the Stars from Star Wars Episode 2.
With no, I mean, there was no hiding it. You knew.
No, that was no hiding at all. And he put out like 2 trailers, I believe, or 3. I think all 3 of them.
3 trailers.
I think all 3 of them had it in it. And yet they never copyrighted those.
So he said that it was like, essentially you have all these people working under the umbrella of Disney, but in his video he made it clear one side was working separate from the other. So I guess Warner's Chapel did a manual claim on it, and Lucasfilm found out probably after their phones started blowing up, and somebody called them and said, no, that's not going to happen.
Right. And you know what else I think? You actually had big YouTube channels now actually saying it's time to boycott. Ethan Van Sciver, a comic artist, Pro Secret, said it's time to boycott. Doomcock said it was time to boycott. Man, I think the message got out loud and clear the last few days that the fandom was not going to take this laying down anymore.
I think they realized that, oh crap, episode 9 is truly heading to the to the crapper if we don't course correct.
Exactly. Because I'm thinking, I already think that Star Wars Episode 9 is going to make $900 million. Now, if they kept the way they were going now with this copyright claim and everything, I think that movie, as more and more people start to get the word that, hey, they're doing this to the fans, it would have been closer to Solo type numbers. I mean, okay, that may be a stream, but maybe, 500-600 million instead of what I think 900 million. That's a significant drop.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you think this will be seen as a big enough win to get people that weren't going to go see episode 9 possibly in the seats?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Because I think the vast majority of people, when you're talking about, especially like globally, a lot of them probably don't even know Star Wars Theory. Right. We in the fandom know about, Star Wars Theory and the fan film, but I think he's a small portion of the bigger picture of Star Wars as a whole.
Well, now, one thing that, and of course, as we do more of these shows, people will learn. The one thing that me and you probably see a little different is I actually thought episode 9 was going to do a little better than that.
What's your number on episode 9?
I've got, What me and you have a bet over a steak dinner? Is that what I said?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I believe that you said it's going to
1.5 billion worldwide.
And I said 900 million worldwide. So
if
everybody in the chat, who do you think will win the steak dinner? Me or Rhodes Rants? and remember, this is my channel.
Right. Hey, I see some Road Squadron in there. So
yeah, and just to let you know, we're gonna get to comments here. I see that MMLTN is here, Giaro is here, Economy's Cantina is here, Dog Show is here. What's up, dog? Maureen is here. We're gonna get to more comments in this in the chat as this show goes along. As we do more shows, we'll get better at it. This is the first time we've done something like this. So, but anyway,
we got a bit of a feeling out period here to get these shows right. So, but hopefully they'll be 52 a year. So
yes, and please smash the like button right now. We're up to 15 likes, and we have 13 people watching. I'm pretty sure we'll get up to 20 something here, and not too long. But I'm John Matrix, Road Rants on Star Wars. This is Bad versus Evil, the rule of not to. What do you guys think of that title?
So, I don't know. I mean, I have felt like backing off that figure a little bit, but for the sake of the steak dinner, I'm going to stick with it.
Now, why do you want to feel like you should back off a little bit? What's the reason behind it?
Do I think I should back off to like anything under 1 billion? No, I think this film's going to do 1 billion, like no problem. Could I see it down around 1.3, 1.2 and a half? Yeah. But I think that's the low end. That kind of goes back to a film that me and you disagree on. And you know what film that is?
Solo.
No, The Force Awakens.
Oh, The Force Awakens. Yes.
And you're going to have people like me who like The Force Awakens and like J.J. Abrams. Okay. And one of the reasons I hated The Last Jedi so much was I came out of that Force Awakens movie and I was like, I cannot wait for episode 8. I mean, I was stoked. I was like, oh yeah, Star Wars is back, blah, blah, blah. I'm rocking it. I saw that movie 5 times in the theater.
Really?
And I saw it 3 times in less than 24 hours of release.
Wait a minute. How can you see a movie 3 times in less than 24 hours?
Well, because I'll tell you how we saw it. We saw it at 7:00 Thursday night open.
And you saw about The Force Awakens, right? Force Awakens?
Yeah, The Force Awakens. Yeah. I saw it at 9 a.m. the next morning. And then I saw it in the afternoon the same day that I saw it at 9 a.m. And then I saw it 2 more times over like the next month or so.
Okay.
So that tells you I appreciated that film. I think you're going to get some people that enjoyed that movie that are going to want to see episode 9 because JJ has said, I'm coming back to make my sequel to The Force Awakens. So I think that's going to help the box office a little bit more than maybe I think a lot of people believe, right? I mean, I know there's a lot of people that don't like The Force Awakens, but I mean, there's a lot of people that do. And
right, I understand that.
Yeah, and I've said before, because I can't tell you how many videos I've made where I pulled that Rotten Tomatoes Last Jedi score, out of my pocket and put it in my video. Because, it's what, 45% now?
Well, the actual critics have it at like 92. That is really high. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know what they were thinking.
It's a joke,
I mean, were they serving booze to the
That's a
critics.
lobster dinner. Hey, that's a lobster dinner and a free ticket to Star Wars Celebration. We know how that got done. But even now, The Force Awakens is still like an 86. So I've said if we're, and this is long before like any bots or any kind of like screwery was suspected with Rotten Tomatoes, that movie now it has dropped. That's how bad The Last Jedi was. It dropped the Force Awakens score because I've kept tabs of it ever since it came out. It was a 92 before The Last Jedi came out.
What is
and
it now?
It's like an 80. Now it's like an 85.
Wow. And a lot of people have actually made the statement that that The Last Jedi actually ruined The Force Awakens. I mean, Jeremy Geeks and Gamers said that he loved The Force Awakens, but now he can't watch it because The Last Jedi ruined the movie for him, and he actually ended up breaking his Force Awakens DVD.
I was watching that when he broke it.
Yeah, I was watching it too. That was on live stream.
And I told him in the comments, I said, it's okay, bro. Just buy it on digital and don't tell nobody.
See, but I didn't like The Force Awakens.
Right.
I really didn't. I didn't like, because what George Lucas said, his critique of The Force Awakens was, he said the fans will love it, but he said that he would never make a movie like that. He doesn't like retro movies. He likes to do new and different things in each and every movie. And I don't think The Force Awakens gave us that, especially in a positive way when it comes to Rey. The character of Rey is such a ding on a sequel trilogy. Everything that she does is just not part of the Force. The way she uses the Force, it's not supposed to happen like that. Well, why did she have all these skills?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I'll be the first to tell you, the reason I like The Force Awakens so much, it was going to be hard for me to not like a movie that Harrison Ford comes back as Han Solo. Just the sheer, like, I was floored when I found out he was coming back to Star Wars, because we had heard the stories all these years about, he didn't want to come back for Return of the Jedi.
No, he didn't. He wanted to be killed off in Empire.
Right. And I mean, I'm going to tell you on an emotional level, and I'm about to give myself away here, but the day that this movie was announced and it said Harrison Ford is coming back, I wept. I did. Wow. Just reading the news, I could not believe it. I told my wife, I said, my childhood hero is coming back to the big screen. And I said, this is something I never even considered, and that was powerful. I carried that into the movie. Now, that said, Luke Skywalker fans, I get it. I get it, because you did not get but 30 seconds of Luke in The Force Awakens.
And he never said a word.
Never said a word. Now, for me, for somebody that likes Luke, but I was more invested in Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor, as a Jedi personally. But so that lead up was really cool to me. I enjoyed the lead up to Luke at the end. But I thought we were going to get Luke, wrecking shop Mortal Kombat style in The Last Jedi.
I thought we were going to get that in The Force Awakens till we found out he wasn't in a movie. And then in The Last Jedi, he turns into Clint Eastwood from Gran Torino, Get Off My Lawn. That really, once I saw Luke throw the lightsaber over his shoulder, I knew that we were in for a bad, bad time in that movie.
Oh,
a real bad time.
I asked my wife, I said, what just happened? I literally turned and I said, what just happened? Because I was literally like, I was like, I was like, why would he do that? Because I mean, and the same thing all everybody else thought. This lightsaber was handed to him from an old Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Right.
And it was his father's. And then we got 3 movies showing this lightsaber, prior to A New Hope. So this lightsaber is significant in Star Wars lore. And I've said it before and I will say it again. Rian Johnson hates Star Wars. I believe he does not. I believe he does not like Star Wars fans. I think he thinks Star Wars fans are ate up with something, I don't know if he was possibly picked on by a Star Wars fan. I don't know. But I have said, I do not know how, if you are a fan of Star Wars, you can sit down and write that movie. How do you write that movie?
To divide the fan base.
I don't understand. And I mean, how do those storylines even come into a real Star Wars fan's head? How do you put that on paper? I'm gonna make Luke Skywalker into one of the Grumpy from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I'm gonna give no training to our main protagonist. There were so many elements of Star Wars that this guy just threw out the window. And Star Wars needs to have connective tissue for it to feel like a Star Wars movie.
Exactly.
Right? One of the things that everybody sort of dogged The Force Awakens out about was it was a light reboot of A New Hope. And my response to that was, Star Wars movies are supposed to feel like a Star Wars movie. Now, yes, it did seem like a light reboot of A New Hope, but it felt like a Star Wars movie. Exactly. When I watched The Last Jedi, I said, this does not feel like a Star Wars movie.
And I think
felt like I was watching some other franchise. You know what I mean?
Right. And I think the jokes really made it feel like not a Star Wars movie at all. The jokes was just so horribly over the top. I mean, I could not take it. I cringed really, really bad listening to a Your Mama joke. I mean, think of it. A Your Mama joke in a Star Wars movie. That is so out of place. And hold on just a second here. Thanks to everybody that's just joining right now. Smash the like button and also subscribe to Rhodes Rants on Star Wars. His link is in the description. Subscribe to his channel. Show him a lot of support. So go ahead, Rhodes.
We got, let's just real fast. We got Lisa Taylor, Rondo. Snoke Spinal Tap is in the house. The dog show. Lord Callus is here.
Lord Callus. Good channel right there.
Guys, please go subscribe to Lord Callus. He has quality content.
Definitely
the dog show does too.
And I believe I was just looking at the chat here, and I was just looking, and the dog show says the Yo Mama joke was off-putting. Exactly. I just can't. The jokes was just so bad, and they weren't even funny jokes. Well, I'll give Rian Johnson a little credit on this. He actually said, "You hear me, Rhodes? Can you hear me?"
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I just heard my wireless headphones sounds like they disconnected or something. But the Your Mama jokes was just so bad. I think that really, really hurt the movie, in addition to the disrespect shown to Luke. And actually, one major scene I have one of the biggest problems with, I almost can't watch it, is that duel with Rey and Luke, and like he falls down and uses the force to hold himself up. She's holding the lightsaber over him. I was like, man, they just made Luke into a bumbling fool to make Rey look like she is so all powerful.
Oh, okay.
That just eats at me so bad.
It is arguably, in my opinion, the worst scene in Star Wars history.
I may agree with that. I mean, most of the worst scenes in Star Wars history come from The Last Jedi.
It is, if ever there was you could literally, if you were running a commercial for a character called Mary Sue, that was the number one, like, Mary Sue moment, like, guns blazing. This character can do no wrong. When she put Jedi Master Luke Skywalker on his ass, I was like, I'm done. I'm done.
I mean, I can actually take 2 minutes of Canto Bight over that scene. And all of Canto Bight was terrible. All of it.
But my thing was, from a Star Wars story wrecking perspective, Canto Bight could just be a bad side plot in any movie, theoretically. But from the standpoint of pulling the rug out from underneath a legend, she does this. They get into the skirmish and put him on his butt, and I'm thinking, I'm literally in the theater, and I said, what? Why? How does this happen? Man, I suspect this show is going to get a lot of Last Jedi talk.
Well, yeah, because I'm about to bring up another scene.
Okay.
Leia Poppins flying through space.
Oh, God.
I mean, I literally laughed in the movie theater when I saw that. I was like, and it looked bad. It didn't even look like it was even real. I mean, she was, oh my God, it was so bad.
It's so bad. My wife audibly in the theater out loud said WTF, and she did not acronym it. I mean, she literally audibly just cursed in the theater where everybody could hear her. She was like, what the we could not believe it. My wife said, am I watching a cartoon right now? And I said, I don't know what's happened. I don't know what's going on, Debbie. I don't know what is happening here.
First of all, you can't breathe in space like that. She's like blown way out, and we don't know how long she was actually there. You would freeze to death in seconds in outer space. And then she just wakes up and just floats towards the ship. I mean, people have been complaining about the bombs dropping, from Pace Tico, but
yeah,
that bothers me too. But it doesn't bother me nearly as much as Leia floating through space.
No, me neither. I mean, that was more of like, and I've got it in my video where I just destroy the Last Jedi. I was like, gravity. I said, bombs, gravity. Because you remember the TIE bombers. They were bombers, but they had like this laser hue around them that could drive them at their target. I mean, this was just dropping bombs into space.
Yeah, that was
here was my thing. Let's flash to Hollywood, okay? And in Hollywood, you have them bringing in dailies, right? When they're shooting a movie, they do dailies where they can watch the scenes that were shot that day. And you come into a boardroom, and there's 12 people around a large table, and I'm sure John knows what I'm talking about. I worked in the corporate world all the time. And you walk in, you've been in a corporate meeting room, and there's 12 people in there sitting around a table. And usually there's, a speaker phone in the middle, whatever. And they've got a projector or whatever they use out there. And they put on the screen the Leia Mary Poppins scene floating through the air, right? Or after they get the effects cut for it.
Right.
So out of 12 people, not counting the director and probably an editor and probably somebody else, that got approved and made it to the process of the final cut and made it into the movie.
You know what? I'm wondering what was actually cut from the movie because it didn't work. That's what I'm curious about now. I mean, if
I tell you what did work, Luke mourning Han, and the SOB cut it out of the movie.
That absolutely should have been left in. That scene was actually a good Rian Johnson scene right there, and it was cut.
It was the best thing he shot, and he cut it out of the movie.
Exactly. And actually, when you think of it, nobody mourned for Han. I mean, Chewie kind of growled, but they were in battle. But after that, he didn't mourn. Luke didn't mourn. Leia didn't mourn after she felt him through the Force. I mean, it was kind of like, oh, he's Han Solo. He's just expendable. Nobody mourned for him. Now, I don't know if the deleted scene with Luke actually mourning for him is actually still canon, because I didn't read the book. I mean, movie's so bad, I didn't really want to read the book. But nobody mourning for him at all. I mean, Leia didn't even bring him up, in The Last Jedi. And that's
that happens so bad we had to write comics to try to make up for the plot holes from the movie.
Yeah, and The Last Jedi takes place right after it. It picks up right after that, and there's no mourning for Han or anything.
I have often wondered if that is one of the biggest reasons the movie failed, was that he chose to make that story start immediately versus, say, even a year later. Okay.
It should have started at least a year later.
There's a lot of history in a Star Wars crawl, right? And they could have easily put in there, Rey's been training with Luke for the last year in something. And, they could even put in there things are getting testy between both of them, in however what terms they want to say it. But the point is, she's getting training. They mourned Han. They, and even him starting, for whatever you think about The Force Awakens, I have never seen a director give the middle finger from one director to the other, as Rian Johnson did to J.J. Abrams. Because I've said he set up the easiest sequel in the history of movies. He gave him a layup, and Rian Johnson goaltended it.
Well, I will defend Rian Johnson on this one point, and just this one point only. He actually said when he was hired on that he was absolutely surprised that Lucasfilm did not give him a template on what to do, what they wanted to do with the movie. None at all. But now we do know that J.J. Abrams, he did have, drafts for Star Wars Episode 8 and Episode 9. So I'm assuming that Lucasfilm probably just threw those completely out and said, no, we're going to get new directors. We want them to do their own thing. So, but man, you really got to have kind of a guide. And Adam Driver even said that he already knows Kylo Ren's story arc. Well, do we really know it now since The Last Jedi? And we know that J.J. Abrams' story arc wasn't used. So this thing is such a complete mess that I don't even know if J.J. Abrams is going to really be able to tell his story the way he wants to because of the inconsistencies.
It's a cluster F.
Exactly.
I mean, it just, hey, we got a couple of questions in the chat.
Go ahead.
It says, Lisa Taylor says, can I ask you guys about Star Wars Theory's fan film? We haven't actually talked about what we think of the movie.
Let's talk about that now. I mean, we could talk about The Last Jedi and we'll be miserable. The whole live stream will lose a lot of viewers. So
we got 52 more shows to kill Rian Johnson.
Yes.
Every year, 52 more shows.
Exactly. So my thoughts on the Vader fan film. I thought it was the best fan film I've ever seen. Actually, if I didn't know it was a fan film, I would not know it's a fan film. Now, I really like Darth Maul Apprentice. If you haven't seen it, you have to see it. It is really, really good. Very heavy on the action. This fan film is pretty much everything that Disney should have gave us in the sequel trilogy. You have the Sith versus the Jedi. You have great lightsaber work with Vader, and it sets up at the end that Mace Windu is back, like they're going to go to battle. I mean, the emotion was there. I think that's the main thing that's really been lacking was the emotion. When he actually saw Padme and he hugged Padme, I was like, man, this is very, very touching. Even though it's kind of weird, showing Vader hugging her. And I do believe that Star Wars Theory said that was the hardest scene that they actually shot to get right. I think it would have worked better if Padme just hugged him and not have Vader's arm over her. I think it would have looked a lot better. And when Palpatine, when she actually showed the Sith eyes and Palpatine was there, I was like, man, that really, really was intriguing right there. And I mean, the cinematography, the CGI, all this on $150,000 budget. Now, I don't know if that actually included, renting out the movie theater also. It could be. So, but let me know your thoughts, Rhodes.
I'm going to tell you, you hit it on the head. It absolutely did not feel like a fan film. It felt like something that if you would have extrapolated that story out over an hour and a half or 2 hours, it felt like something you would go to the theater, sit down and spend your 10 to 20 bucks, have your popcorn and your Coke and sit down and watch, which is utterly mind blowing for a movie made with $150,000 budget. And let's even talk about this for a quick sec. He's going to make how many more? We know there's episode 2 coming. Is he doing a full movie? Is that the goal here eventually?
Yes, he has all of the episodes written out. I think he has like 6 to 8 episodes. So okay. I'm assuming if he actually shoots all of them, it's going to be well over $1 million. Episode 2 is going to cost $250,000.
Okay.
And maybe the cost will keep increasing. And his plan is to actually release it all as one movie. So,
okay.
But man, that's a lot of money.
So let's think about this. It is a fan film that absolutely felt like a theatrical release, real movie. That's always the issue with fan films, right? You see them and some of them look really cool and some of them get an element here right and an element here right. But at the end of the day, you have some sort of like real cringy acting or some kind of effect that you're like, whoa, that was sort of like, yikes. But I mean, don't get me wrong. We appreciate the effort and a lot of them are just damn cool. Odyssey is a good fan film. But this was different, okay? This guy made a real movie. And something that not a lot of people have talked about, I have an appreciation for seeing actual clone troopers in costume rather than on CGI.
Yes, okay. And they actually sounded like the clone troopers from the Clone Wars.
One of my issues
I think the voices were spot on.
One of my issues with the prequels was the overuse of CGI in certain parts. So I got to see that physical, practical effect, and it was great. And I know a lot of people have kind of one of their main problems has been the Emperor, and yes, I think the guy did a good job. Do you know how hard of a character that is to nail?
That's hard because Spinal Tap says, Vader fan film 10 out of 10. I would have liked Palpatine to look better, but still 10 out of 10. Well, yeah, but Ian McDermott to me is the best actor in all of Star Wars. Why? I mean, he made Palpatine what he is. I mean,
that is almost an impossible character. Anybody can. Don't get me wrong. The guy that played Vader was phenomenal. Yes. I mean, he had David Prowse's moves down like it was unbelievable.
I believe Star Wars Theory said that the guy that played Vader had been studying like Vader for like 2 years or something.
Oh
like
man, you could tell it.
Yeah.
But for that guy to be able to get the Emperor, even as, I mean, it wasn't a perfect performance of the Emperor, but boy, was it good. It was good. And that is a tough thing to pull off. Even if it didn't work for everybody, I don't know that you will ever find anybody pull it off better than that other than Ian McDermott himself.
Yes, and actually, just a note, the guy that played the Emperor actually did not do the voice. It was actually another person that did the voice. Okay. The only people in the movie that actually had used their own voice was Padme and young Anakin. That's it. Everybody else was voiceovers. That's pretty amazing right there.
It's an amazing creation. And I'm going to tell you the other thing. If you extrapolate that out over 6 movies, let's say this whole thing cost $1.5 million to do.
That's what I'm thinking.
A 2-hour movie. Disney should be ashamed of themselves that this dude pulled this entire movie off on $1.5 million and gave us something like this. And they spent $250 million on Solo, and I enjoyed Solo, but come on, I would have enjoyed it better if Solo was made on $30 million.
And I didn't like Solo, so
huh?
And I didn't like Solo.
You didn't like Solo. Me and my wife actually enjoyed it a lot. It was almost I called it a warm Star Warsy kind of blanket after The Last Jedi. I was like, at least it looks and feels like freaking Star Wars. You know what I mean?
Some of my problems with Solo is there was no villain in this movie. No one true villain in this movie. I don't like the whole Pando Lando thing. And L337 was the worst droid in Star Wars history.
Agreed.
Enfys Nest, you thought Enfys Nest was a villain, and then she takes off the helmet. She's this 15-year-old kid who wants to start a rebellion against the Empire, and I'm like, oh my god, this
wasted potential with Enfys Nest.
Enfys Nest looked really, really cool with the mask on and the voice, the mechanical voice and everything. But man, they ruined that character right there at the end.
Don't get me wrong, the movie is not without a considerable amount of flaws. I've got this sort of critical breakdown of Solo that's going to come in a video soon. And basically what I came up with was I'm doing it in like a pros and cons fashion. And I basically came up with like 13 pros versus like 8 cons. I mean, there's plenty of flaws with Solo. But I found it to be enjoyable. Now, to me, Solo is the perfect kind of movie that should have went on the streaming service.
Yes, I agree with that.
Okay.
Because really, they should have made an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie. Obi-Wan Kenobi movie first. That would have been the first movie I would have made if they wanted to do the spin-off movies. So, go ahead.
It's still a movie they should make.
Yes, absolutely.
If fans, the next thing that us as fans should be demanding is the Obi-Wan movie with Ewan McGregor. We should be banging the table as loud as possible to get that movie made, because they're not. They completely like freaked out over the results of Solo, not thinking about the fact that, listen, it was The Last Jedi that caused this. Because even if you go in and look at some of the reviews of the big YouTubers like Jeremy Johns, he didn't like Solo. But if you go down and look in his comments section, it is amazing how many people are like, I enjoyed that movie. I liked it. You were wrong on this one. Blah, 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 blah. And that's
Well, let me ask you this then. I think we lost Rhodes again.
It's not a great.
Oh, there you are.
We're not talking about it. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. You had dropped
Okay.
out for a second.
Okay.
But let me ask you. Let me ask you this then about Solo. You said that people enjoyed Solo. Do you think the reason for that is that The Last Jedi was so bad, and then 6 months later you actually do get a better movie than The Last Jedi, even though I don't think it's a good movie? Do you think The Last Jedi being so bad had something to do with people actually liking Solo because you couldn't get any worse than The Last Jedi?
No, because I'm going to tell you, I enjoyed it better than the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones.
Ooh, wow!
It's not even close for me.
Wow.
I don't consider those to be very good movies either. Now they're a different kind of bad. The Last Jedi is damaging to the franchise, whereas those two movies were not. They're just two bad movies.
Well, yeah. I remember when the
Did
reviews...
I just drop a bomb? All the prequel lovers about to come out and hang me.
I like the prequels. Now, from what I remember, actually going to see Phantom Menace in 1999. I remember the reviews coming out, and people were they were really liking the Phantom Menace. I think the prequel hate started to come out really after about around 2006 or so, something around there, when it just became cool to hate the prequels. Because I don't remember people actually, saying, "Oh, the prequels sucked" during the time of the prequels.
Well
I don't
listen to this. After I walked out of Attack of the Clones, I had convinced myself that it was the second best Star Wars movie ever.
Wow. And I never went that far.
Yeah,
because to me, it wasn't as good as Phantom Menace to me.
And flash forward, and now it is actually tough for me to get through those two movies. Like when I sit down to have a Star Wars marathon, I watch them, but boy, it's kind of a cringy watch for me. I mean, there's some screenplay and some back and forth and overuse of CGI in places I just didn't understand it. But again, we're talking about just sort of.
You dropped out again, it looks like. Rhodes, are you there? Looks like we lost Rhodes again. I'm pretty sure he will. There you are again. You dropped out again.
Okay. Well, what happens is my phone went to sleep. So anyway, it's my thing about the prequels is, it is not the story that is the issue, right?
The stories are great.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just some shortcomings and some decisions that were made about the movies. And mind you, this all improved greatly by the time we got to Revenge of the Sith. Sith is a very good Star Wars movie.
Sith is a great Star Wars movie. And I see Economy's Cantina says Episode 3 will forever be the best Star Wars movie. And I think that Rob, everything Star Wars, Revenge of the Sith is his favorite Star Wars movie. For me, it's number 2 behind Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
And that movie was so much light years better than Episode 1 and Episode 2. I mean, it's a lightsaber lover's dream.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you. Maybe this is my other deal with the prequels. You got to remember, my love for Star Wars is caught up in the smugglers and the bounty hunters and the fast ships and whereas you have people that love the Jedi Sith thing, right?
You're gonna love the Mandalorian then.
Yeah, I can't wait, dude. I am starting to get that Force Awakens, pre-Force Awakens, like butterfly in my stomach for the Mandalorian. I cannot wait to see this.
Well, I tell you this, I hope we see Cad Bane in the Mandalorian. That would be
Hey, I
so
want to
great.
see Cad Bane get a streaming movie, a movie on the streaming service, a whole movie.
Interesting, because
Yeah.
somebody, I think I was looking on Screen Rant, and they said maybe it's time now to end the human leads on Star Wars movies and stuff like that. So he's talking about
Wow.
now, I guess I have like aliens. I don't know if that would really work. Now, Cad Bane is definitely the kind of character you want on the streaming service. You don't put Cad Bane on a bit screen as the main star because nobody really knows him that well unless you're, a diehard Clone Wars fan, you know? So I think that kind of character would be perfect for the streaming service.
Right. I've got Revenge of the Sith as my, let's see, there's 10 movies, my sixth favorite movie.
What's your top 5 above that then?
I've got Empire first, A New Hope second, Return of the Jedi third,
Okay.
The Force Awakens 4, and Rogue One 5.
And then you have Sith 6.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I have Return of Jedi 1, Revenge of the Sith 2, Empire number 3, A New Hope 4, Rogue One 5, Phantom Menace 6. Hope I'm not forgetting one. What is it? Attack of the Clones 7, Solo 8, Force Awakens 9, and Last Jedi 10. And I know there's a Clone Wars movie, but that's kind of different.
Yeah.
It's really kind of the stuff from the TV show. And
Right.
I love the Clone. Actually, the Clone Wars really is the best era in all of Star Wars.
Hey, the Clone Wars I enjoyed more than the prequels, except for Sith.
Yes,
I enjoyed them more than I liked the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, and I was a late bloomer to the Clone Wars. I started watching the Clone Wars 2013, 2014, and me and my wife, man, we just binge watched it, man, and we just loved it.
Yeah,
loved it so much.
Yeah,
it's so great.
It's got that fresh Dave Filoni smell, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's really when he got into Star Wars. George Lucas taught him everything, and man, because George was still in direct control of everything on the Clone Wars. Dave Filoni really took a back seat. He had to answer to George on everything, but I think that's when George is at his best, when he has a great story and he has, like a great director to interpret his story. That's when George is at his best. Even though George didn't direct Empire or Jedi, but the buck stopped with George on those movies. They always said every time George was on set, everybody looked at him. So in a lot of ways, George Lucas pretty much directed every single movie in the original trilogy, even though he only directed, one.
Right. Now I'll say this about the prequels. Like if George would have had something I felt like I could connect to a little better, like if you would have had a Tobias Beckett type character in all 3 prequel movies doing something significant in the story along with everybody else, I probably would enjoy those movies a little more. Right.
Okay.
I just lack the Han Solo character. I mean, Han's such my guy that, and I have such an appreciation for that sort of character because I liked him being such a badass for not having any special powers. Right.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that really hurt the prequels for me because I didn't have anybody I felt like I connect to. However, I will say this. Ewan McGregor is he is so good in those movies.
He is great in all of those movies.
Yeah, he is so good in those movies.
I tell you this, man.
Um,
My favorite line in for Ewan McGregor in the prequels when he says, "You were the chosen one. It was said you were to destroy the Sith, not join them. Bring balance to the Force. You were my brother, Anakin. I loved you, man." That was like emotional when Anakin is there with his limbs chopped off, and Obi-Wan tells him, "You were my brother, Anakin. I loved you." And you never heard Obi-Wan actually tell Anakin that he loved him before, and it had to come in that moment when he basically had to destroy Anakin. And that look on Obi-Wan's face when Anakin is burning, it's just like, man, just so powerful. That's the kind of stuff I think is missing out of the new movies. There
agreed.
isn't any characters
Agreed.
we can connect to.
Agreed. I Now I will say this: Rogue One has got one of the best third acts.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That third act, and I will say this: I feel like I made my top Star Wars ranking video like 6 months ago. I have actually changed the way I feel about these movies even now. I used to say that Rogue One, Sith, and Solo were all tied for 5 with me. And regardless of the day you ask me, I might give you a different answer. I don't feel that way anymore. I think Rogue One has separated itself. I've watched it probably 4.
And I guess Rhodes's um, screensaver is on his phone again, so guess he'll drop back in here a second. But I see that the Dalt Show, he actually has his ranking here, and the Dalt Show's ranking, he has A New Hope number 1, Empire second, Return of the Jedi third, Revenge of the Sith fourth, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, then Rogue One, Episode 7, Solo, Holiday Special, and 8. So he's pretty much on board with the way that I feel about these new movies. Rhodes, are you there? He hadn't dropped out yet, but I'm pretty sure he'll still be on here. Yeah, but how do you guys actually feel about the state of the sequel trilogy? I know a lot of us is not living up to our expectations, but what are some of the good things that you have seen in the sequel trilogy, even though they may be few and far between? So what are some of the positives that you see in the sequel trilogy? You may not have any. I mean, I'm saying this right now, and for me, it is really hard to think of anything. So I had to send Rhodes another link again, so he should be popping up in here again. But while we wait on him to come back, I'm going to read some of your chats here. Lisa Taylor asks, can I ask you guys another question? In your opinion, why isn't Leia using the Force when in the book universe, if you've ever picked it up on a Timothy Zahn novel? Well, the thing is, those books, they are not canon. They are not canon. So when Lucasfilm was actually purchased by Disney, they came in and they decanonized all of the expanded universe. Technically, the expanded universe was never canon anyway. So they came in, they recalled it Legends. So it was never canon anyway. Even George didn't say they were canon, but he let those books, go out. So they wanted a fresh surface, fresh slate to create their own thing. Now, however, in George Lucas's story treatments for the sequel trilogy, Luke was going to train Leia as a Jedi. And man, that would have been really, really cool to see on screen, seeing Leia, do things as a Jedi. Because one of my biggest criticisms of Leia in the sequel trilogy is she's not doing anything. She's just, standing in the control room, listening, giving orders. She's not really doing anything. So I was hoping that, over the years that Leia would actually be able to give to use more force powers, have more force powers. That's what I was really, really hoping for. But unfortunately, we did not get that. So that's the reason why that happened. So if you guys are just now joining us here, I guess Rhodes is having a little bit of technical difficulties. Smash the like button. If you're new here to the channel, hit the subscribe button. Also, subscribe to Rhodes Rants on Star Wars. The link to his channel is in the description. So I hope that answered your question on Leia, though. Okay. So Rondo is here. He says it's 50-50 to me. I can't say that I would boycott it even after what happened, but I am hopeful that they will bring it back around and do Star Wars justice. Well, if they stop turning Star Wars into social justice Star Wars, then it could be different. Maybe they could turn around. But how can they do it now? The way that The Last Jedi ended, it seemed like everything was pretty much complete. So I don't really know what else they could really do. I mean, how would you actually go about doing that? How would you actually end up changing things to make it right? That's the hardest part right there. It really is. Rhaegar Targaryen. Rey trains Luke to be a Force ghost in episode 9. Well, at this rate, she can train Luke in a lot of things. So, Roadtrans just said in the chat, all got dropped all the way out of the call, John. So I guess you can't join back in on the stream, Rhodes, because I sent you another invitation, and it looks like the Dog Show has put the link to Rhodes Rants channel in the description. Make sure you smash the subscribe button on Rhodes Rants on Star Wars. So, also, this is another thing that came up. On the way home, I was listening to John Campea on his YouTube channel. And he was talking about the copyright on Star Wars Theories channel before we actually found out that the copyright has now been lifted. I think you have to be wary of some of these channels that are pretty much shills for Disney. He was saying that there was a lot of misconceptions about what was going on. He was saying that everybody was saying that Star Wars Theories video was taken down and he had all these copyright strikes and Disney was taking the revenue and all that. That's everything he was hearing. I was thinking, man, I haven't heard anybody say anything like that. And then he goes about, trying to correct these myths, so to speak. And he's saying none of that happens. This channel is still up. And he never said one time whether or not he thought that the copyright claim was right or not. And he spent 16 minutes just talking about that, and yet he never gave an opinion. So a lot of these channels will just try to save face, I guess, to get their free press passes and things like that. And even in this chat, people were saying, he went 16 minutes and really didn't say anything, nothing. So you really have to be wary of these channels. They don't give an opinion because they don't want to, I guess, piss off Disney. So we got some new people here. Living My Rhapsody is here. Alicia Kingston is here. Edward Kennedy. Kenway is here. Also, just so you guys know, I do have a Patreon. You can support the channel on Patreon. The link to my Patreon channel, PayPal, is in the description. I do have my first patron. Excuse me. I do have my own patron here that subscribe to my Patreon. I did tell him that I would shout him out here as soon as I can get it up here. And let's see where it's at. Maybe his name is Kenneth Camel. Thank you so much for becoming my first patron on Patreon. I'm really going to try to build that up on Patreon. So if you guys do want to support me on Patreon, check out the link in the description. Also, my PayPal is there also. You can follow me on Twitter. You can follow me on Facebook. Anything you can do to support the channel would be very, very much appreciated. So just wanted to let you guys know that. Smash the like button. Hit subscribe if it's your first time. We are growing really, really fast here, as you guys probably all know. The channel has grown at an immense rate. I'm so very, very grateful. We're up to 693 subs. We're only 7 subscribers away from 700. So can we get to 7 more subscribers on this live stream? Let's see. Live My Rhapsody says, hey, John Matrix. Yova Rhodes is here, says, hi, Matrix. Says, glad to see you, man. Alicia Kingston says, hello, John. Dog said I should check you out, so I'm here. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for joining. And Yova says, John Matrix, Lucasfilm made a great job today, but it isn't enough for now until Kathleen Kennedy and Rian Johnson are gone. Yeah, what it all comes down to still in the end is that the product that they are putting out it hasn't been that good. I mean, it's pretty divided. I mean, you heard me and Rhodes talking about it here, that he likes Solo. I don't like Solo. He likes the Force Awakens. I think the Force Awakens is trash. We both agree that The Last Jedi is complete trash. So, I mean, it's very, very divisive right now. Extremely, extremely divisive. But yes, I'm glad that Lucasfilm did the right thing. I'm going to give them credit where credit is due. I don't know exactly how it happened. Star Wars Theory actually did say that Lucasfilm said to take down the copyright claim. I don't know if they can, circumvent Disney on that. I'm not sure, since them and Warner Chappell are pretty much under Disney. But either way it goes, it is done. It is done. So no ads are going to be running. I think they were trying to save face. They have movies that are coming out. They have the Disney streaming service coming out this year. They want people to subscribe there because it got so bad to where people were actually officially calling for a boycott of not only Star Wars, but everything Disney. That's how bad it got. All this over a 3-second clip. And Disney said, is that 3 seconds actually worth us pretty much losing the fan base if they haven't already lost the fan base? So the right thing was done today. And man, because I really called out Disney in videos. You can watch those videos on YouTube on my channel. I called them out. Everybody has been calling them out, and they deserve to be called out. So I don't know if we're gonna have Rhodes back on here or not, but I'll continue to show like I do as always. But this is our first episode of Bad versus Evil, the rule of not to. We're going to make this a weekly show. I don't know if it's actually going to be every Wednesday. I'll check with Rhodes and see if it's actually going to be every Wednesday or whatever really works for him. So we will just see. But I enjoy doing this channel. The channel is really, really growing. I'm so appreciative. You guys can email me all the time. Give me suggestions on what you would like to see on this channel as we get big. I mean, I have a bunch of new subscribers that are just getting to know me. I mean, some of my old subscribers, Dog Show, Lord Callis, Maureen L. You guys already know me. Rhodes already knows me. But now I have a lot of new subscribers. So this is a great chance for you guys to actually get to know me. I live stream every Wednesday at 5:30, Friday at 5 p.m., and Sundays at 5 p.m. Now, this Saturday, I will be on Flip Doubt's chat channel, live streaming on there. I believe it's at noon Central Time. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to be on his channel. Sunday, we will not have a live stream. That is Championship Sunday on football. So I won't be live streaming on Sunday, but we will start over again the following Sunday. We'll do our live stream, and we will have a earlier live stream on Super Bowl Sunday. We'll probably go live at like noon that day because the game starts at like 5, and nobody's going to watch a live stream during the Super Bowl. So Alicia says, I dig Movie Talk sub. Thank you so much for the subscription. Economy's Cantina. Sorry about that. Yep, Economy's Cantina has been here for a while too. Says, damn, not even mentioned. LOL. Love to collaborate with you sometime. Yeah, just shoot me an email, Alicia. Hit that like, says Living My Rhapsody. Please smash the like button. Hit subscribe. Thank you so much. Doll Show says, great channel, AK. Yova says, keep it up, Matrix sub. Thank you so much. And Economy's Cantina, we got to have a stream for the UFC fights. I don't really watch UFC. So Edward Kenway says, we won the battle, but not the war. The war will continue. So Roadtrans says, John, I dropped everything, the call, and then my laptop crashed. LOL. I just missed like 10 minutes of the show. Okay. So we pretty much lost Rhodes for the rest of the show. His laptop has crashed. So you get to hear me talk and talk and talk for a little bit. So I'm going to go on for probably another 10 minutes or so. And but we'll work this out. This is our first show. We're just testing the water. So this is usually around the time we kind of start to stop the show. Usually my live streams are about an hour and a half long, and we've been going since 5:30. So, but I can answer your questions right now. You can ask me anything in the chat, and I will be happy to engage with you guys since it's just me now on the channel. So Rhodes, you can just be a fan now. I can answer your questions too. So sorry about that. Yeah, Rhodes lives out in the boondocks in the country, so he has weak internet and he lives out in the middle of nowhere. So the news of the day, the news of the last few days has been Vader. So now let's speculate what will happen in Vader Shards of the Past episode 2. What do you think will happen in the Vader fan film? So we do know now that Mace Windu will be returning. And we're up to 695 subscribers with 5 away from 700. So Mace Windu has returned. He's on Naboo. Vader is on Naboo. The Emperor is returning to Naboo. So it looks like Vader is about to fight Mace Windu. I would love the Emperor to engage in that fight. That would be so cool. So we'll get to see Mace Windu, I guess, with a mechanical arm. A mechanical arm Mace Windu fighting Vader. Now, I don't want Vader to wipe the floor with him. I want it to be a competitive fight. I think this episode 2 is really going to be about the fight with Mace Windu. So if he's putting $250,000 in episode 2, I'm assuming that it's going to be longer than 12 minutes. Maybe it will be closer to 20 to 25 minutes, I think. The last mother effer returns. Yep. Oh, Rondo says off subject, but how about them Astros? I know it's off season, but I'm excited about this year. Yeah, we're going to win the World Series again. We probably could have won it last year if we weren't injured. So, but anyway, back to Shards of the Past episode 2. Vader versus Mace Windu. I'm thinking you'll probably get something closer to something that you'll probably see with Darth Maul Apprentice, where it's like nonstop action. But I think there will be some story in that. And I fully expect Mace Windu to die in the second episode. Once and for all, he's done. But let him go up against the Emperor also. Let him go up against the Emperor. And I believe he already has an actor that will be portraying Mace Windu. I think he was at the premiere of Shards of the Past. So everything is pretty much laid out for all of the movies. It's just a matter of money. So he needs our help. Make sure you can support Star Wars Theory in any way that you can. Because the more help he gets financially, the quicker the movies will come out. And we all know that he's going to give us something that's way better than what Disney has given us. We know that's going to happen, but he needs our support for that to happen. So where are we at? Connie's Cantina says, from what I've heard, Vader is going to get ran through it first. I don't want Vader to get run through it first, but I guess you can make a good explanation for that because maybe he's kind of getting used to his suit. Because, you know, what we actually saw at the beginning of that movie was actually a dream. It didn't happen. So I guess technically we don't know how good Vader is at fighting in his suit. So maybe Mace may actually end up getting the best of Vader right there as he's adjusting to his suit. And maybe it will be actually to be the Emperor fighting Mace Windu. And maybe the Emperor kills him. But that probably is unlikely considering this is about Vader. So most likely Vader will take him out to me. Tetstret says, just a mechanical hand mace. Yep. Alicia says, I wasn't compelled to watch Solo. Neither was I. Connie's Cantina, the Lakers about to make it to the conference finals. They aren't even in the playoff picture right now. Please. What else we got going on here? Limeracity said, at Alicia Kingston, I made myself watch it because I have seen other ones. It was for my own knowledge and research. I needed a cold Corona with it and had to restart it a few times. Ugh. Yeah, it's not encouraging. Said Doll Show, I soldiered through it, but I seriously have no idea WTF what they are doing with the franchise. Yep. Yeah, I don't know what's really the future of the actual Star Wars movies after episode 9. It's going to the Game of Thrones guys, but we don't know yet what they are making. I'm pretty sure this year, probably this summer, we will find out what era of Star Wars they're going to be setting their movie in. And from there, we will have to see. There's a lot of bets on Old Republic since they're coming off of Game of Thrones. And Game of Thrones is kind of like a medieval type of TV show, which I can't wait to see. That comes out in April, too, by the way. So they are really the future with their trilogy. So I don't know. I haven't heard any production updates on it, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be special if it's anything as good as Game of Thrones. That good. All right. Let's see here. What are you talking about? We just got to get rid of KPC. He's way overpriced. Who is KPC? Not sure who that is. Oh, you guys talking basketball. It's a movie show. Alicia says Thrones for life. Yes, Game of Thrones is the best TV show ever. But this show with me and Rhodes, what do you guys think of the first show? How did me and Rhodes do for this first episode? We really don't have a script for this. You know, we talked about 5 minutes right before the show because of the new news with Star Wars Theory about Disney and Lucasfilm doing the right thing. So I hope you guys enjoyed the interaction with me and Rhodes, and it's only going to get better over time as we have more chemistry. So I guess you can kind of, since everybody's talking sports, I guess we're like Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp on Undisputed on FS1. So Rondo says good show. Laura Callis says hands down the best show on TV. He's talking about Game of Thrones. Connie's Cantina said, I know it's a movie channel, but you said my Lakers aren't in the playoff picture. I got to defend my boys. Yeah, but they're like the 9th seed right now. They're out of the playoff picture. Tetras says, is anything regarding Mace Windu post episode 3 covered in the EU? No, I don't think so. Samuel L. Jackson actually believes that his character is still alive, and George Lucas actually said he actually kind of agreed with him. So that would be very, very interesting if Mace Windu was to come back. I would really want him to come back. If the Game of Thrones guys are doing something, let's say like right after Revenge of the Sith, and maybe it's like a Vader trilogy or something, I would want it to come back. Rodran says, hot mess, LOL, stop it. I'm Colin Cowherd. Well, Colin Cowherd is, doing a show by himself. So that's why we're like Skip and Shannon, Doll Show says, think it ends a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. They can milk it forever, literally. Yeah, Star Wars is so massive, you really can go anywhere. My problem, Ryan Johnson actually talking about putting it in another universe. I'm sorry, not another universe, but another galaxy. I think Star Wars should stay in one galaxy. It should not go to another galaxy. That makes no sense. It really, really doesn't. That's probably why they probably put the wheels on him in this trilogy. Probably isn't happening. So Alicia says, I missed the whole beginning, but enjoying what I hear so far. Well, thank you. We started off with like 5 people watching, then we kind of got into the guts of it. But this is going to be uploaded again as soon as this live stream is over, so you guys will be able to watch the replay and and catch the parts that you miss. So Rondo, I'm happy about the win we got concerning the Vader fan film. Yes, I am. So I actually may go and watch it now since there's no ads on the film now. So because I think if they actually kept the copyright claim, I think a lot of channels that actually did reactions would actually have their channels copyrighted also on their video. Because a lot of channels, did their reaction to the whole movie with the film playing. So that could have done, more damage. Game of Thrones community is so amazing. Yeah, and I think we may actually do some Game of Thrones talk on this channel. We have to see. We got so many new subscribers, so I have to, go with what the subscribers want to hear. So you guys are in control of the channel. So I will look at the analytics. If you guys want to talk Game of Thrones, then we'll talk about it. Mace Windu, awesome character. He should better be back. Yep. Laura Callis says, you guys did a great job aside from the tech issues. It is old school Stephen A. Smith. That is blasphemous, to quote Stephen A. Smith. Oh my God. Dog Show, come on, man. Episode 9, Return of the Blue Milk. Star Wars, Rondo, Star Wars is in my DNA, so my hope for it to survive is deep. Everybody wants it to survive. Everybody wants change. Change in a good way. I mean, they changed Star Wars in a different kind of way that I really don't agree with, but it happened. Oh, right. Stephen A is a joke and Rose rants. Rose says, I ain't trying to be Shannon Sharp. Yep. Shannon Sharp is a Tom Brady hater, so. Oh, man. Well, I'm pretty much going to wrap up this show here. Make sure you smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, and also subscribe to Road Rants on Star Wars. The link is in the description. So this pretty much wraps up our first episode of Bad versus Evil, the rule of not two. I'll get with Road Rants and we'll decide when we're actually going to do the second show for this. It may be every Wednesday or maybe on Friday. I may have our Friday show like that, whatever works better for him. So a lot of people says, let's see, Live My Rhapsody, thank you for the stream. I'm glad to serve you guys. Rondo, have a nice weekend. Dog Show, thanks for the stream. Johnny Rhodes. Rhodes says, we'll work it out next time. Live My Rhapsody at Dog Show in the gaming tonight. Make sure you check out the Dog Show. He does gaming on his channel. He does a lot of live streams. So, but guys, I had a wonderful, wonderful time. I think I speak for Rhodes Rants also. Thank you guys for joining the channel. Thank you for supporting us. And as we move forward, we will continue to grow and this community will grow. Thank you so much. Like I said, check out my Patreon. You can support me there. You can also support me on PayPal. And I have all different kind of tiers on Patreon. And we will be doing stuff on that on Patreon just for patrons soon. So stay tuned for that. But thank you so much for joining. And we will catch you guys on the next video. John Matrix, out.